Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. I want to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand TV series, you will differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh@5starbdm.com. Now, let's begin with our next episode on the Follow the Brand TV.
Five-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.5starbdm.com today to learn more.
There's many examples of advocacy, where I was influenced and I was able, to make a really positive change.
Interoperability has always been a passion of mine because data has all of the answers.
And if I had a question that came up in a bill I was analyzing or a bill that I was writing for the House of Representatives, I would often call on these advocates.
Welcome to the Follow Brand Podcast. This is Grant McGaugh, your host, and today we're going to keep it local right here in South Florida. We're going to have a conversation around healthcare, around technology, around advocacy from a state level, a legislation level, things that really a lot of people don't know. They need to find out about as we make this journey further down the line into healthcare and what healthcare will mean for our people, specifically in the Miami-Dade County area and beyond. So let me get some people introduced. We're going to have a conversation a little different from what I've done in the past, meaning I'm going to have Lisa Rawlins interview Senator Ana Marie Rodriguez, and we're going to do this in a style that has never been done before on the Follow Brand Podcast to give you a little bit more insight into the upcoming HIMSS Integrate Conference. So I'm going to give it away to Lisa, get things rolling, and I'll be back in about a half hour or so. Thank you very much.
Brant, thank you so much. I appreciate you inviting us here today. And good afternoon, everyone. I am Lisa Rawlins, Senior Vice President of the Gardner Group. I have spent the last 30 years in our healthcare system, from hospital administration and from the policymaking side as a former staffer in the Florida House of Representatives Committee on Healthcare, and spent some time over at the Florida Agency for Healthcare Administration as well from a regulatory side. I also served formally on the South Florida HIMSS board as the advocacy chair, and I am so delighted to introduce to you Miss Senator Anna Marie Rodriguez, a true trusted friend and colleague to me for over many years. And interestingly, Anna Marie Rodriguez is the state senator for Florida's 40th district, which includes portions of Miami-Dade County and all the way down to the end of Monroe County. She was elected in November of 2020 and reelected in 2022 for a second term. She served previously in the Florida House of Representatives 105th district from 2018 to 2020. And before being elected to the state house, she served on the city of Doral City Council from 2010 and 2018. And Senator Rodriguez, it is such a pleasure to have you join me today.
Lisa, thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit further about HIMSS and everything that people will be expecting, during advocacy days and whatnot.
Well, thank you, Senator. And one thing I really admire about Senator Rodriguez is the fact that she comes to the table from a true health IT perspective. When Senator Rodriguez served on the Doral City Council, we worked together with the South Florida Regional Extension Center. It was a federally funded grant program that helped small physician practices from Indian River down to Key West adopt electronic health records. So Senator Rodriguez is unique in the fact that she comes to the table with hands-on experience in health information technology. But today we're going to speak about the Integrate annual meeting, the South Florida HIMSS annual meeting around advocacy. We have a panel discussion scheduled for that event where Senator Gail Harold will also be joining us. But in lieu of that event, I did want to speak a little bit about the value of advocacy. South Florida HIMSS is planning an advocacy day at the Capitol, as they have in years past. And Senator Rodriguez, I really wanted to get your opinion on the value of advocacy at the state Capitol.
Well, Lisa, I cannot overstate the importance of advocacy, not just at our state capitol, but at the federal level as well as the local level. But so much of what we do and so much of what impacts electronic health records and this industry is decided at the state level. And so I think it's important for people who are in this industry to attend their advocacy days in Tallahassee and get to know their legislators and meet with them and explain obviously the importance of why investing in this technology is important for the state and for all Floridians. And so I think, as you mentioned, I served on the city council for 8 years and I was a state representative, and now I'm in the state senate. But the relationships that I've built over the decades, such as, with people like yourself, who, taught me the importance of it and gave me the opportunity to work in this cutting edge industry, really taught me a lot. And I'll talk a little bit more about my background as far as, professionally. I worked at Baptist Health prior to working with you at the South Florida Regional Extension Center. And of course, I knew the importance of electronic health records and technology in healthcare in general. But having worked in that field with you opened my eyes even more and taught me so much. But now as a policymaker, as a decision maker in Tallahassee, I feel like I've come full circle, and I'm just so honored to be part of your panel at the conference. So I'm very excited about that.
Well, thank you, Senator. And speaking of advocacy, what you've mentioned, when I worked in the Florida House of Representatives, we were visited routinely and daily by lobbyists. And then we were also visited by groups like South Florida HIMSS, the College of Emergency Physicians, the Florida Hospital Association Advocacy Days. And that really gave me an opportunity to meet what I'd call the boots on the ground type of individual who's working in this industry. And I found those advocacy days to be extremely valuable, because often what I would do is, I would collect the business cards of those individuals in the advocacy day at the Capitol. And if I had a question that came up in a bill I was analyzing or a bill that I was writing for the House of Representatives, I would often call on these advocates that would give me a real life picture on any possible unintended consequences in drafting a law that would say XYZ, that without that input from the boots, what I call the boots on the ground, the operational people, I would have not considered in the past. And I'm wondering, Senator Rodriguez, in your position as senator, how do you use these advocates that you meet through these advocacy days at the Capitol?
So those are great points, Lisa. And it's funny because I do meet with all kinds of industry groups, whether it's healthcare, housing, transportation, education, you name it. And I think it's important for advocates such as yourself and South Florida HIMSS to know that lawmakers are not subject matter experts on everything. So we do depend greatly on people such as yourself and people from your organizations to come and teach us even more, even though, as you said, I'm one of those unique cases, and Senator Harrell, where we, because of our professional backgrounds, we do know a little bit more than other lawmakers, but the vast majority may not know exactly why your issue is important. So breaking it down to a very basic level, you try to keep all your information on 1 or 2 pages of information, which you would leave behind, right, for the lawmaker or the staff person who's in the process of crafting the legislation that needs to get more information. I think being readily accessible as well, whether it's giving them your cell phone number, your email, some way that they can contact you if they have questions or not sure, how to phrase something properly. That's always, really important. And then just trying to be brief when you meet with your legislator. A lot of them are on very tight time schedules. So just making sure that, when you go in to meet with them, be kind, be nice, but you don't necessarily have to be in their face for an extended period of time. You need to just try to get your message across as quickly as possible and as succinctly as possible so that they can move on with their day. And then if they have questions, they are always able to call you back and, ask you any questions they may have. But for the most part, I think those are the tips I would give somebody who is advocating at our state capitol is, again, try to keep your information on 1 page, try to keep your meeting concise, stick to the point, and try not to get into the weeds, because again, not all of us are subject matter experts. So I think it's important for you to just touch the high level points about what your legislation is trying to do or what your organization is trying to accomplish.
That's a really good point. I remember as a staff and writing bill analysis, we would, write an analysis on every bill considered in committee. And in that bill analysis, regardless if it was a 1-page bill or a 150-page bill, we would do an analysis, but the cover sheet of that analysis was less than one full page long. And we would have to summarize in high-level bullets the important changes that were being considered in the proposed legislation. And you make a really good point. Legislators hear, hear from constituents across the state, and typically only have a few minutes to meet with their constituents when they're at the Capitol. And to be able to summarize in very succinct messaging really, I think, helps to convey your position and help to educate the members on what's happening in the industry. So I love that recommendation on keeping it succinct when you meet with the members of both the House and the Senate. Also, I was wondering, Senator, do you have like a real life example where an advocacy group really changed the direction either you were considering on a piece of legislation or an advocacy effort that actually inspired you to draft legislation and or help support legislation?
Well, I actually have multiple examples of this, not just as a state legislator, but when I was on the advocacy side and seeing my efforts influencing the outcome of legislative changes. And I want to touch on something important, Lisa, because as you said, you were in the staff in the Florida House of Representatives, and I was on the advocacy side when we met just a few years ago, right? So it was like over 20 years ago. And
you were a baby then.
I was a baby. You were a baby too. We were both babies.
Yes.
And it's funny, having a good relationship with staff is also extremely important. I can't underestimate, how, people think, oh, just meet with the legislator. And like I said, not all of us are subject matter experts. And I think it's important for you to always, as an advocate, make sure you keep the contact information of the staff person in that department or that works for that legislator, because those are the ones who are going to be staying in the office late. They're going to be drafting the bills, that are going to be making sure everything is perfect in the bill, right? So I just wanted to touch on that real quick. But there's many examples of advocacy, where I was influenced and I was able, to make a really positive change. One of the things that I'm really passionate about is people with special needs. And I have filed several pieces of legislation to improve the lives of these individuals in the state of Florida. One of them is creating a special designation on your vehicle registration that indicates it's a voluntary program. It's not mandatory, but would let someone say, I have a person with special needs in my car, whether it's a spouse, a child, but so that if they get pulled over or for whatever reason, the law enforcement officer will know that there's somebody, with a special need in the car ahead of time. Because sometimes these people have very, adverse reactions to, to traumatic situations, or if there was a car accident or something of that nature. So this was something that was brought to me by an advocacy group for people with special needs. And it was a big deal, when we passed it last year. So I always like getting ideas from specific groups that can tell me, hey, this is something that will make our lives better. This is something that's going to help us out. So yeah, I think any good legislator will always take into consideration information from advocacy groups who know best what's best for their industry.
Yeah, that's a really good example. And it reminds me too of some of the work that the South Florida HIMSS group did a couple of years ago, back in 2019. Interoperability, the concept of interoperability has been one of the key issues of the South Florida HIMSS group, whether that's interoperability between EHRs through the care continuum, or utilizing data interoperable between state agencies. And I know the South Florida HIMSS group got very active a couple of years ago with Representative Grant's bill that mandated interoperability between state agencies. And the result of that advocacy efforts led to the passage of that bill, which created the Florida digital system under Department of Management Services. So right now at the state agency level, specifically at the HHS agency level, like Medicaid and Department of Health and Department of Children and Families, we're starting to see a lot of sharing of information that can help the constituents of Florida. So for example, one of the things, sort of a use case that we discussed with the South Florida HIMSS advocacy days back in 2019 was the value of sharing data from Department of Children and Families. So if a family had applied for WIC or SNAP benefits, you typically have to complete a comprehensive application. But these same family groups also may qualify for Medicaid coverage. And one of the things we were trying to achieve was that if an individual filled out an application for SNAP or WIC benefits at Department of Children and Families, that application could be what we call interoperable, so that it would also be shared with the state Medicaid agency to determine whether or not that individual qualified for Medicaid. And another great use case of interoperability between state agencies that we advocated for back then was the fact that when parents go to register their children in school, you actually have to have the child's vaccination record. Well, interestingly enough, the Department of Health in Florida has a registry, a vaccination registry called SHOTS that records all vaccinations in the state of Florida. Pediatricians report that up to the state of Florida. And one of the use cases we discussed was the value of when the parent came in to register their child at school, that instead of having to go to the doctor and get copies of everything, that the Department of Education should have access to the SHOTS database to check and see if that child that child has met all the vaccination requirements. So that was an interesting advocacy process that we went through several years ago, and I'm happy to say that's a real life example of bills passing based on advocacy efforts from the South Florida HIMSS group.
Lisa, and I think it's important to know, and if I may, a lot of the things you said, they sound so easy and so smooth, like it just took like one session. And
Right.
and I know, and I think anyone who's in the advocacy world knows, a lot of the things you just said have taken years, if not decades, to happen, right? Because there's always a tremendous resistance to change, and there's always a resistance to sharing information, because people feel like information is power. And why am I going to share my information with you, even if it's all part of the government's, taking care of Floridians, right? And like you said, there could be a Floridian that has an issue in the Department of Children and Families, but is also facing other financial, some other crises in their life. Why not make it easy for us as the government? I mean, I know you're not in the government anymore, but in my world, it should be easy to connect all those dots, right? And to make it easy for us to say, okay, this person has XYZ needs. Let's close the loop and have a continuum of care where we could, make sure this person has all their needs taken care of. And so, like you said, it was a big puzzle kind of like to put together. But honestly, it's well worth it, because it does make Floridians' life much easier. It makes our life on the government side easier as well to help that person in their totality.
You make a really good point. And, just as a real example, one of the bills that passed during last session was a mandate that all licensed healthcare facilities actually had to participate in the Florida Health Information Exchange. And that was in 2024. So if we push the reverse button, I actually headed up the initiative in the state of Florida under Governor Bush to create the Florida HIE back in 2004.
Yeah.
And, we had, the program up and running in its infancy as far back as 2006. But to your point, Senator Harold, it actually took almost 2 decades before the industry was willing to accept the fact that a health information exchange throughout the state and sharing information from provider organization to provider organization or to provider was of value. And change is not easy, as you mentioned, and oftentimes we see a good policy idea. In my experience, it's taken about typically 3 years on a minimum to pass a bill that has a really good concept. And even though in 2019, when the South Florida HIMSS group was advocating on this HHS interoperability requirement, that too was a project that was in process for about 2 or 3 years before we actually saw the legislation passed. So advocacy, is a great way to educate our policymakers, and to your point, Senator, also to educate the staff that are helping to support the elected officials. So my last question to you, Senator, is what do you expect in the upcoming Integrate conference with our fireside chat between myself and you and Senator Harold? What would you like to see at the end of the day?
Well, Lisa, I think it's always great to, when we talk about advocacy, to kind of frame the picture and talk about, like you said, like kind of give people an overview of kind of where all the steps that were involved to get to where we are today. And just kind of if we each had our own little crystal ball, like what would we like to see coming out of the next legislative session or two? Because I think, because Governor DeSantis is finishing his last 2 years in office, we need to just start planning ahead. And there will be, transition in our, governor's office. And I think the governor's office, as you mentioned, under the leadership of Governor Bush, years ago, this was something that was very important to him, right? So whoever ends up taking that role in the future is going to be pivotal in deciding the future of HIE. And so we need to make sure that whoever those candidates are, which we already know who some of them may possibly be, those are conversations that need to start happening early so that we explain the importance of why it's, why they need to invest and why the state needs to continue being a forward-facing state in this arena and others, but particularly as it relates to this, because it affects so many people's, health and just in so many different ways. So I think it's going to be a great conversation. I'm excited to see you in person and to see Senator Harrell, my dear colleague, as well.
Thank you so much.
Who sort of understand the power of technology, but also understand that, healthcare, medicine, it is about people. We are in the humanity business. Well, look, I think mis and disinformation affects the whole industry, from the life sciences space, the med device space, the payer provider space. I think if we all tackle it together, there are ways to partner with life science companies, med tech companies, and patient advocacy groups, right?
I'm not perfect. I've made bad mistakes. I've had horrible things happen in my life, but I just share them. I'm transparent with it, and I think that connects with people. My particular cancer, which was prostate cancer, like as a guy, that's like even more like, because like that hits you or hurts, literally, quite literally, in a sense. It's like, people don't want to talk about it. Men don't want to talk about it. So as a result, it gets underreported and underdiagnosed, and is one of the leading causes of cancer that could be definitely stopped.
It does take a lot to have original ideas. It takes a lot to innovate. It takes a lot to be bright and to be smart and to think ahead of your competition, ahead of your team, and to anticipate needs. But it takes a lot more to actually drag ideas into the light of day and get them over the finish line and get them into production. And that's really, we try as a team to never stop focusing on the fact that our bright ideas have to really help people in the cold light of day. And I don't know why it is, but anything worth doing has always been hard. Yeah. And the rewards that come, it isn't. I love what you just said about that. I caught that catch 100 times before. There's a Japanese saying. I was talking with the CIO at Toyota at this conference, and he told me there's a Japanese saying that is, fall down 7 times, get up 8.
I tell you, this has been wonderful. I want to thank you both for being on the Follow Brand podcast and the visibility that you brought for the chapter around advocacy. A lot of people aren't familiar with the value that a HIMSS chapter brings, specifically in their area, that they can be a voice for change, a voice for things to get done. And Lisa and Senator Rodriguez, I want to thank you personally for all your service, the things that you've been doing for our people that have made our lives just a little bit better than if you were not an advocate for healthcare in the state of Florida. So I want to thank you both again. And before I leave you, let the audience know, because I'm sure they're like, hey, you know what? That was great intel. What is the best way to get in touch with each of you? And I'll let Senator Rodriguez go first, and then we'll finish up with Lisa Rawlins.
So the best way for people to reach me is through my legislative office. I'm actually located in Doral, Florida, down near Miami International Airport. I'm also on LinkedIn. I also happen to be on Facebook and X and everything else, and Instagram. But I prefer for legislative things to come in through my office, through my legislative office. So
Excellent.
At the flsenate.gov, www.flsenate.gov.
Got it. Ms. Lisa Rawlins.
Yes, Grant, probably the easiest way for me, as I mentioned in my introduction, I'm serving as the vice president of the Gardner Group based out of Tallahassee. But I also have a LinkedIn profile, and I could be reached there or via email at lrawlins@thegardner.group would also be a good way to get in touch with me.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. And if anyone wants more information about the South Florida HIMSS Conference, please go to our website. You can easily Google HIMSS South Florida Integrate, will pop right up. And it will be a sold out event. So get there, get your tickets as soon as possible. We've got just a marquee lineup. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can look at all of our different episodes on the Follow Brand podcast at 5-Star BDM. That is the number 5, that star, that's B for brand, D for development, M for masters.com. I want to thank you both again for being on the show.
Thank you, Grant.
You're welcome.
Hello, everybody. I'm Hal Wolf, President and CEO of HIMSS, and I'm honored to be able to speak with you today via video. A big congratulations to the South Florida HIMSS chapter and its Integrate 24 conference. This is the 13th community gathering. We really appreciate the amazing effort that's taking place in South Florida. Without you, the cornerstone members of HIMSS, we would not be 125,000 members strong and impacting the global health ecosystem through the power of information and technology. Much of this often comes from chapter leadership and the strength of an ongoing commitment to the healthcare professionals within the region. And this event is a cornerstone to their education, collaboration, and groundbreaking innovation. We're very pleased to recognize at HIMSS the leaders, Ganesh Prasad, Chapter President, and Dr. Roosevelt de los Santos, Advocacy Chair, for their nominations to this year's Changemaker Awards. Additionally, we honor all the past presidents and the members of the South Florida chapter with its gold status recognition. This year's conference has a remarkable set of leaders lined up to speak to you, including Tom Leary, who heads our Government Relations Department, Ed Marks, Dr. G, Patrick Hale, and Senators Ana Maria Rodriguez and Gil Harrell. They'll share their insights on digital health transformation, healthcare innovation, and the critical role of advocacy. Again, being part of this community is immense value, not only to yourself and your chapter, but your contribution on a global basis. You're setting the mark, you're having an impact, and you're changing healthcare for the better to each and every person around the globe. We look forward to seeing you at HIMSS 25 in Las Vegas, and I'll look forward to seeing your chapter leaders very soon, just next week, coming up at the HIMSS chapter leader meeting. I hope everyone's doing well. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Hi, I'm with Kendall Brown, Sales Director Southeast of Centrac. Welcome, Kendall. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So you are a HIMSS changemaker. Tell us a bit about what you do at Centrac and how you became a changemaker.
Sure. I am the Southeast Sales Director for Centrac. So I will man a territory. I sell technologies to hospitals, mainly CIOs. Centrac is a real-time locating solution provider for asset management, and that means tracking people or supplies, the most expensive and important things in a hospital environment. Think air tags for things in hospitals.
Yeah, RTLS has had a long history. Do you think it's got its moment now? Is it finding purchase and folks are seeing the value in it?
Yeah, absolutely. Now more than ever, people are keeping up with their things, which is why Apple came out with AirTags. Unfortunately, AirTags don't work in hospital settings, so that's the need for RTLS solutions. So, but yeah, whether it be babies or IV pumps, people are keeping up with their things.
So, what makes you a HIMSS changemaker? How are you approaching, this digital transformation of healthcare?
Yeah, so my journey in healthcare really started right when I graduated college, nearly 25 years ago. I wanted to be a clinician or a nurse, but the blood and guts really isn't for me. I couldn't stomach it. So I fell into the health IT journey. I very quickly got pulled into the sales and marketing, business development side of things, and introduced to HIMSS through, representing various vendors, McKesson, Allscripts, throughout my career. So I've been a long time HIMSS member, and as a part of your HIMSS membership, you get to choose a home chapter. I reside in Miami, Florida, so South Florida HIMSS is my home base. And rather than just being a member, it's very important to be more than a member. Show up, be a committee member, be a board member, be a larger presence in any organization that you represent. What you put into the organization is what you get out of the organization. So I fell into advocacy. It's very similar to being a salesperson. I ring up CIOs for my paying job at Centrac and be resourceful to them. Doing advocacy is very similar. I ring up policymakers and be resourceful to them. Representing HIMSS initiatives like telehealth, cybersecurity, interoperability, and really just educate our policymakers on all things health IT. So through my advocacy efforts and helping pass the Florida Interoperability Bill, a previous president of South Florida HIMSS threw my name in the hat to be president and eventually became the change maker for this year.
Wow, there's so much going on in healthcare. You mentioned it all: telehealth, interoperability, cybersecurity. What are some of the things that you've seen at this show so far that you have been most interested in or surprised by?
Interoperability has always been a passion of mine because data has all of the answers. Cybersecurity is always something that on the forefront of our minds. And when it comes to policy, putting parameters and standards in place for things like AI, and that's been a big topic here at HIMSS. With a recent Change Healthcare breach that happened 3 weeks ago, 6 terabytes of data lost. That's a huge concern. I haven't heard as much of it here at HIMSS, but it was actually on the local Miami news as I walked out the door to come to HIMSS on Monday. It is cybersecurity is something that we all need to think about, but putting parameters in place for the future development of health IT is something that we need to keep on the forefront of our minds as well.
Absolutely. A lot of the folks here at HIMSS are just kind of starting out their careers in this field. Do you have any advice for those who kind of want to make a career of health IT?
Yeah, so actually under my presidential term of South Florida HIMSS, under my direction, I wanted to give back to the community and recognizing that mentorship was very instrumental into my career. I started 2 years ago, I started a mentor-mentee program that's now a part of South Florida HIMSS. It is gaining a lot of traction, and it is so heartwarming to hear the comments from both mentors and mentees. There's really nothing more touching than doing something like that. So I would suggest to anyone new in the field to be a part of an organization like HIMSS at your local level. I've been very blessed in Atlanta and Miami, the markets where I have started my professions. There have been more than just HIMSS organizations, health IT focused organizations that help you network with like-minded professionals. And that has really been very helpful in my career. Also being a mentee and really asking your mentor to put you in touch with other people in the market, that has been very instrumental into my success as well.
Well, congrats on being a change maker, and it was great to meet you and talk to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kendall.
Best benefit is, at the end of the day, it's people helping people.
Events like today are so critical to getting out there, meeting other executives from competing healthcare systems, but today under one roof, we all get along.
I found everything really interesting. I loved the AI technology that's coming, all the integrations and the changes that are coming for the future state.
Whole experience overall, it's just outstanding. Every year it just gets better and better.
It was amazing. I learned so much from all the sessions. I had so much fun. It was awesome.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm looking forward to engaging conversation and looking forward to learning more about healthcare IT and what's on the horizon.
It's a great conference. Everybody that works at South Florida HIMSS makes an incredible event. Probably the best regional event that I go to.
It feels like a family.
Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Eric and I'm on the board of South Florida HIMSS chapter.
And I'm Grant McGaugh, program chair for the South Florida HIMSS chapter.
And this video is about why you should register
for this year's South Florida HIMSS Integrate Conference.
See you there.
At the end of the day, it's people helping people. It's connecting people, meeting people.
I loved the AI technology that's coming, all the integrations and the changes that are coming for the future state.
I'm looking forward to engaging conversation and looking forward to learning more about healthcare IT and what's on the horizon.
And I'm looking forward to just having more meaningful conversations about digital health transformation and how to advance that.
It feels like a family. I mean, being in the industry of healthcare and IT, it's a very small community, especially when you come down here to South Florida.
I love the community. And second is the values. One of the things I notice here is nobody's marketing, which is really good. And that tells me that the value system of the community actually is about giving back and about learning and about sharing.
Follow the Brand TV broadcast host, Grant McGaugh, as he visits with top executives and entrepreneurs to find out their secrets of success with their personal brand. Follow the Brand TV broadcast host as he focuses on brand development to build better relationships, bring value to your business, relationships, and career. You will enjoy listening to each episode that is tailored to speak to you directly. If you're looking for this type of clarity in terms of building your brand, you have tuned into the right station. Each episode will help you to shape a conversation in the 5-star BDM network of 20,000 professionals and become a springboard for your corporate engagement and business opportunities. Each guest will frame their story in the areas of personal branding, business development, career development, financial empowerment, and technology innovation. Grant McGaugh explains why he is the CEO and owner of his own professional career. Grant is an accomplished business leader and entrepreneur who wants to give back to individuals to grow their personal brand strategy. Tune in as he weaves his story about new possibilities, while to you exceed expectations. If you love storytelling, this show will make for fun.
Hey everyone, it's Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM and host of the award-winning Follow the Brand podcast and TV series, where I help you to build a 5-star brand that people will follow. My genius is personal brand development through intelligent communication and helping you achieve your business and career goals. I am a requested speaker on digital technology and brand development issues. I want to work with you to increase the value of your current opportunities while attracting new ones. Every one of you is unique, and we all share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. As a super connector, I work with you as an executive coach to guide you along the complicated business and career development road, providing the enhancement tools and information you need to succeed. Together, I will help you succeed in today's challenging business climate. I will evaluate and measure your progress. Best of all, I am right alongside you every step of the way. Build the brand called you. Genius is coming. The Black Business Expo's mission is to raise funds for high school seniors going to college or K through 12 entrepreneurs. This expo is a fundraiser for students. Please, you may go to www.blackbusinessexpousa.com to donate to the scholarship fund or use the Cash App at $BBXUSA. Our goal is to give laptops and up to $5,000 to 10 students. Students can register online at www.blackbusinessexpousa.com. Every dollar counts. Please donate to the Black Business Expo USA Scholarship Fund.
Five-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.fivestarbdm.com today to learn more.
Exciting time to be in digital marketing with the advent, the explosion of generative AI chatbots. They're better known as ChatGPT. There's Bard, there's Claude, there's all kinds of this new one came out called Gemini. There's so many different tools that really what it comes down to is that it's made my business more precise. I can do things more quicker, I would say, and to elevate my brand messaging to a level that allows me to be as creative as possible. digital market economy is taking the world by storm, probably over the last decade or so, but is really escalating now in the advent of AI, because it is a game changer for a lot of businesses. It's not just all the big boys that can play in this space because of cloud computing, because of mobile computing, and now you have these tools at your disposal. You've got a laptop, you've got a computer, you can now digitize yourself to a level and get your message out there, and that equates to business. Ready to build a 5-star brand that stands out and captivates? Discover the art of crafting a strong and memorable brand identity. From choosing the right colors to making your brand unforgettable on social media, we guide you every step of the way. Learn how to design a brand that resonates deeply with your audience, ensuring they not only remember but love your brand. Whether it's enhancing visual appeal or mastering social platforms, we have got you covered. Dive into the world of impactful branding with us and see the difference. Follow the brand for more insights and expert tips. Don't just be seen, be remembered. Join us now.
Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, is turning heads in the healthcare and information technology sectors with his groundbreaking approach to personal branding and business development. By challenging conventional strategies, he's setting a new standard for how executives present themselves and their businesses to the world. McGaugh's expertise isn't just about standing out. It's about strategic guidance, generating leads, and building networks that propel executives beyond their competition. His focus on authenticity allows leaders to leverage their unique stories, driving exponential growth and success in their industries. Beyond branding, McGaugh is a fervent advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace. He's committed to helping organizations cultivate environments where innovation and collaboration thrive through inclusive cultures. And for those eager to dive deeper, McGaugh hosts the Follow the Brand podcast. Here, he unpacks the intricacies of personal branding and business growth, offering valuable insights for professionals eager to redefine their identities and share their narratives with the world. Hello, leaders and visionaries. Are we ready to exceed our ambitious goals for 2024? At 5-Star BDM, we're your strategic partners, not just futurists. To the trailblazers in business development, healthcare, and IT, you need a path to realize your vision for growth. Our tailored consulting services are your stepping stones to success. We empower you to build brands, deliver results, and captivate audiences. In healthcare and IT, innovation is progress. At 5-Star BDM, we ensure your operations beat with precision, efficiency, and care. Join those who shape the future. Connect with us today. Let's set the stage for a defining quarter. With 5-Star BDM, it's not just business development, it's a beacon of excellence.
Tune in for our next show or click on our website at www.5starbdm/followthebrandtv. Thank you.